Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on Craftin' on Ilum. Today we are going to be doing an introduction video since I have yet to post one on my channel, and so I thought it was about time. I did a story post a week or two ago asking y'all to ask me anything, anything you wanted to know about me, answer those questions and just get to know each other a little bit better. So we're just gonna go through some of them were similar to each other, so I will be answering like multiple questions, but they're the same type of question, but just the responses that I got. So just trying to get through and answer everyone's question. Some of them were similar, so I'm just gonna combine them. So let's just go ahead and get right in. I have like my notes because I don't want to forget some points that I wanted to mention. So without further ado, we can go ahead and get started here. And of course, my page is a lot of cosplay. There was about 3 or 4 questions asking about any future cosplays. So next cosplay project, future cosplay project you're most excited for, any unfinished cosplay projects, working on any new cosplays. So there's about 4 questions there asking about that, which makes total sense since my page is mostly my cosplay making now. And I will post everyone's question here as I go through, just checking them off. But yeah, so right now my focus is just upgrading my current cosplays. Um, a lot of mine are not as accurate as I'd like them to be, or maybe I don't like the material that I'm wearing, at conventions or taking photos in. So I just want to focus on that right now. Just because I don't want to jump into new cosplays and have that on the back of my mind and be like, oh, I really wanted to fix that, or oh, I really want to do that. And with cosplays and creating in general, you're never 100% done with anything that you've started. There's always room for improvement, but I want to get it some of these cosplays a little bit better on the next level. There will always be something to fix, like my Ahsoka jumpsuit farmer cosplay from Tales of the Jedi, the very last episode. The jumpsuit that I have, it's missing some components on her jumpsuit, and I don't have the head wraps, or the bracers are not as accurate as they should be. So that's just one example of something that I'd like to fix. So that way I can feel better about wearing them. That's just my personal preference. So yes, upgrading, and in the future, when I do finish all of my upgrades that I would like to do, I would like to do a Shmi Skywalker cosplay, that I do want to make on my own. She is a wonderful, underrated character. If you've read Brotherhood, and of course she's in Phantom Menace and a little bit in Attack of the Clone Wars, but Attack of the Clones. Um, she's her her as a mother, and her bravery and grace, it's inspiring. And so I just want to give a little bit of love and be able to embody that character. So that's something that I do want to work on, because I love cosplaying the main characters like Ahsoka and Trilla and Padme and whatnot, but I think Shmi deserves some love. So I want to be able to make a cosplay to be able to cosplay her. So that is the future plan. There's another one that I have a sewing pattern for. It's gonna be a really big project. Um, and it's an Old Republic cosplay. So I'll just put that out there. Anyways, it is gonna be a lot of work. But yeah, so those are 2 that I have in mind. But Shmi will be first to be completed. All right, second question is Fae fandoms. This one was like difficult to answer because I enjoy movies and I enjoy TV. Like, yeah, I I binge watch a lot of shows. I'll have it, on the background like as I'm doing stuff. And so I do enjoy watching many shows, many fandoms. And just, of course, obviously Star Wars is top tier for me with my page, but there are several. So I'm just gonna list a couple, and it's gonna be like, oh, just a couple, huh? Like, Yeah, there's a lot. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg of all the shows that I enjoy watching that have come out. So, I love Avatar: Last Airbender. Like, if I did not have my Star Wars page, I probably would be doing something with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Um, so love that show. I also really like Legends of Korra, but Avatar: Last Airbender is my favorite. So that fandom, I love other fandoms that I don't know if they're considered fandoms, but just like other shows and whatnot, people have pages for different shows, so I would say that they're fandoms, right? So I love the Dragon Prince. And The Witcher and Hunger Games. I read the books a ton of times when I was in junior high, like that dystopian time period, which was a really big thing, which really popular at that time. So love Hunger Games. We're getting the movie with Haymitch, his story. So and then we just got the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. I don't know if that's the order of the words for the title, but I thought it was a really great movie. I haven't read the book, but the movie I thought it was done well. But if you've read the book, there might be some grievances because the book and movies can differ. They omit stuff and you know sometimes it's like, oh, like that should have been included, but sometimes it's just the vision that the person had while still trying to follow the story and include major moments. But I thought it was done well. So Hunger Games, Dragon Prince, Avatar: Last Airbender, The Witcher. I love comedic shows like New Girl and Parks and Rec and Office and What We Do in the Shadows. Love that show. I also really like Dune, Dune. I read the first book and then the first two movies that have come out. I've enjoyed the second one the best. Um, that last like fight scene, so good. So Dune, uh, Warrior, the show Warrior, which was based off of some writings or scripts that Bruce Lee had drawn up and has now become a show. Like they incorporated their own creativity but based it off of his work. I love Bruce Lee. I grew up watching like old 80s movies, so like all the Bruce Lee movies my dad had and we watched, and I don't know the names of others, but just like I don't even know how to just there's one actually. Let me find it. There's one on Netflix that I remember watching because my dad wanted to watch it with me, but The Last Dragon is what it's called. Like so Last Dragon, all the Bruce Lee movies, Karate Kid, like those types of like martial art movies. And then as I got older and there was more martial art movies coming out, like Ip Man is another one that I really enjoy. So just like the old 80s movies. I mean, he loves like action movies too. So and then like stuff like The Goonies or The Sandlot. That was my dad's jam. So because he loves those movies, I would sit down and watch those types of movies with him. So love all that type of genre. These are just a couple. Like it is a very wide variety that I enjoy. Um, but those are just some that I could name at the top of my head. So and then or fandoms. The third question is, what do you think of the Old Republic? So I think it's really cool. I would love to see some works like any animated or live action movies or shows about this time period. Um, I actually started reading Revan Star Wars Legends: The Old Republic. That's the title. I use Google Books and that's how I read my books. I love like physical copies. It's just sometimes more attainable and easier to get the Google Play books. And then like I also really like the features on Google Play where you can like highlight a word and it will bring up like the definition. Don't know it, or I can just easily copy and paste on my phone as I'm reading into like Google Chrome to like see what species they're referring to. Um so that's another reason why I use like online books, I guess. But yeah, anyway, so I love the Old Republic. I do. I think it's really cool. I started reading Revan. I also tried to play the Old Republic game when I was younger, but and I even tried recently, recently meaning like maybe a year ago. Um but I struggle with strategy games. So like those games where it gives you like different options and different routes to go, I struggle with that. Like Magic the Gathering, I've played it a couple times. I do think it's fun in a larger setting, but just like strategy games, I struggle with. I zone out, I get distracted, I get bored sometimes. So like yeah. Hate to say it, hate to be the one to say that, but like that's just how my brain works. That's just my interests. And so while I do like the Old Republic era, I've seen, all the clips in the games. Um, Started reading Revan, all that stuff. I struggle. Struggle with strategy games. I don't know how else to put that. But yeah. Um so yeah, but the thing is I also really like this is just going on a side tangent or off topic, but I enjoy games like Catan or Oregon Trail. Like those are kind of strategy games too. I think it just has to be in a group setting. I enjoy hanging out with friends, and as long as it's in a group setting, I'm more inclined to pay attention and play and be more interested in it. But the Old Republic, it was just hard for me to get through. I think I stopped pretty early on after they jettison in the escape pod off the ship. Um, and I think I stopped when you had to like start gambling or like be a part of like the Huts events. I was just bored. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next one. Next question is, what's your best con experience? So I've been to, let's see, what cons have I been to? So I've been to a handful. Okay, let me count all the conventions. I went to LA Comic Con. I went to Spookala. I went to MegaCon. I went to Rebel Scum Con. ICCC. Yeah. And I have more planned that I'm going to be going to. As the year is coming to an end and as we go into the new year, I do have a good amount of conventions planned. But yes, what is your best con experience? So again, I've been to a handful, but if I had to pick, I would pick Rebel ScumCon and MegaCon, and those are two very different conventions. One of them is extremely small and the other one is extremely large. And Rebel ScumCon is specifically geared for just Star Wars, whereas MegaCon, it's huge, several fandoms there. But the reason why I liked Rebel ScumCon was because it was smaller. Rebel ScumCon was put on for the first year ever this year. I do enjoy smaller cons. So it was smaller. The celebrities that were there were super nice. You could just go up to their booth and talk with them, if there was no one there. I love that aspect. I had a lot of mutuals online go and attend Rebel Scum Con, so it was really awesome to be able to meet them in person. The panels there, I have to say, out of all the cons that I've gone to, the panels at Rebel Scum Con were top tier, and I just feel like it was because it was such a deep dive into like original trilogy stuff and even the prequels, like the celebrities that were there, the types of panels that they had, the guests that they had speaking, like I learned so much from the panels there, and so that's one of the reasons why it's like one of the best cons that I've gone to because of basically the content, like the things I was able to learn and experience there. So that and again, it was focused on Star Wars, and I've never been to a celebration, so like this to me was like a mini celebration, and it was extremely enjoyable, and I had a lot of fun, and I even got to have dinner with the stunt double for Snoke, and yeah, it was a really really fun time, just like one of a kind of experience, and the people who put it on are super passionate about what they do and super kind. So that was a great convention. And then MegaCon I really enjoyed because I went to LA Comic Con, but when I went to LA Comic Con, that was actually my first con ever, and so I didn't know a whole lot of people there, and I think if I knew more people at that time, I would have had a like better time. Not to say that I had a bad time. It's just like I went, it was a little like overwhelming. I had fun being able to meet new people. I didn't attend any panels. I think I went like 1 or 2 days, and I think I went for like half of those days. Um So, like, it was fun as my first experience, but MegaCon, because I knew more people and I had a better idea of how to navigate cons, um, like, just being able to meet others and then their setup, like their Star Wars area, being able to take photos with other cosplayers, meeting other people, like mutuals in person there. And when I went to MegaCon this past year, I attended the Ewan and Hayden panel, and that was super amazing to be able to just sit there in person and hear them speak. So MegaCon and Rebel ScumCon are my favorite con experiences so far. I've only been to a handful, so we'll see, what cons that I go to in the future, and that could possibly change. But as of right now, those are my top two. So, and the next questions are: what inspired you to want to pursue cosplay, and how long have you been cosplaying? So I combined these two questions. I listed these two questions because they kind of go hand in hand. So what inspired you to pursue your cosplay? I first started my page, around COVID time, like 2020, 2021. I don't remember exactly. I think, or maybe it was 2022. Somewhere around there, like that time period, it's all a blur, I think, for a lot of us. And so around COVID time, I got back into Star Wars, reinvigorated and remembered why I loved this fandom so much. And so I was watching Clone Wars and Rebels, and then I enjoy drawing, so I drew a couple of sketches that had to do with Rebels. Made my page, and by doing those designs and getting more involved in the Star Wars community, and speaking with other social media creators and content creators pages, and that led me to find like cosplaying. And I saw people cosplaying, and you could dress up outside of Halloween, and I thought that was really, really cool. Um, and so I was intrigued by it. So I did a closet cosplay of Hera, and then I wore that to LA Comic Con. And when I went to LA Comic Con, I was overwhelmed by the amount of cosplayers there. Like, it was my first convention ever. And so I saw all these amazing cosplayers, and I was like, man, I want to be able to look like that one day. And I want to challenge myself. And these people look amazing. And you get to dress up and go to these events and hang out with your friends. Like, this is a lot of fun, and it's something that I want to dig deeper into and expand my skills. So that's why I started cosplaying, and I believe I started my page in like 2021, 2022, and I've been cosplaying and doing more involved cosplays since then. So a little over 2 years, I would say, is how long I've been cosplaying. But yeah, it all started just from doing some doodles and putting it on a sweatshirt. Um and yeah, here I am, and it's been a really, really fun journey. Um all right. So the next question is, I combined a couple because they're all kind of the same topic. So one question asks, how old were you when you first watched Star Wars, and what movie? Another person asks, what made you fall in love with Star Wars? Another person asks, what or who made you get into Star Wars, and how long since you've been a Star Wars fan? So thank you guys for all these questions. I love being able to delve into these things. New crafting on Ilum lore. So yeah, Star Wars has always been around for me. I mentioned this on a lot of podcasts that I go on. But Star Wars has always been around for me. My dad, my cousin, and my uncle were huge fans. So I don't have like a very pinpointed memory as to when I was like, oh my gosh, I love Star Wars, just because it's been around. But I will say, the moment where I was like, no, like this is going to like stick with me, and I love this very dearly, is when my dad took me out of school to go watch Revenge of the Sith. Um, in movie theaters when it came out, and I don't know, like, that's just an insane experience for a kid, I think, like, to be able to be taken out of school. And I just remember sitting there watching that opening scene with Obi-Wan and Anakin starfighters, as they're trying to infiltrate General Grievous' ship to rescue Palpatine. So that's just a huge core memory for me. I also remember, like, before Revenge of the Sith came out, like there was those Slurpee cups with like the Darth Vader head and whatnot, and I would go on bike rides with my brother and my dad, and we would stop at a 7-Eleven to get our Slurpees, and we had our cups and like yeah, all of that is those are just like core memories, but Star Wars has always been around because of my dad and my uncle. Again, several other examples, like I had a ton of Star Wars toys when I was younger. I would like take them into the bathtub and like reenact the scenes. I had Sam's bounty hunter ship from episode 2. I had little Boba Fett. I had Jango Fett. I had those Link figurines as well from Phantom Menace. My dad had like an unleashed Darth Vader figure. He had the VHS tapes for original trilogy. He had some lightsabers. So, having those toys, having those movies and whatnot, I got to, have some like days where me and my dad would like binge watch the original trilogy. So it's always been around. I've always really enjoyed it. It was a huge escape, I think, as a kid, with things going on, and it was just really captivating and just something new from things that I watched as a kid. Like Star Wars always stuck out, but seeing episode 3 in movie theaters always always in the back of my head, just being like, yeah, that was an amazing time. Like, I just went to go watch episode 1 for the 25th anniversary, or I think that was the 25th anniversary. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when it was just put into the movie theaters this past year, and being able to hear like the pod racing sounds and all of the iconic sounds, that you think of or hear when you think of Phantom Menace. So that was a really cool experience too. But yeah, so episode 3, core memory, always been around. Me and my cousin would use like our plastic lightsabers and have battles. And then he had like he had Maul's like seeker droid. They would shoot like these foam discs, and we would, try and like practice being a Jedi or Sith Lord or whatever as it shot those discs out. Basically like a giant Nerf gun, but to train with. So yeah, it's it's been a big part of my life. Kind of lost touch with it as you get older. It's not cool to be a Star Wars fan, or a nerd or geek, and I was already pretty nerdy as a kid, as a teenager. So I didn't really like flaunt my love for it, and therefore because I wasn't as invested in it, I just kind of lost touch with it. But again, when COVID hit, found Clone Wars on Disney Plus, saw a couple of episodes here and there on Cartoon Network as a kid, was able to watch all of that. There's micro series as well when that came out. And then Rebels, I found that. And when I watched all of that, I got reinvigorated and encouraged to express my love for Star Wars, and that created my page. So here we are. All right. Enough of that. um, Next question is, why don't you like jalapenos? Asked the dad Vader. First of all, I don't hate, or I don't dislike jalapenos. Like, if it's in a meal, I'll eat it, but I just don't like a whole slice. Like a whole slice in a sandwich, I just can't eat it. But if it's like in a soup, like if they like blended it in the soup broth and it's there, it's fine. Um but as a kid, I really loved spicy things, and so I would like drown my soups in cayenne pepper. Like it would be like straight up red. Like if I had chicken soup or a bondiga soup, and I just like grabbed the jar of cayenne pepper and would just drown it, and it would just be like a bowl of red soup. So I loved spicy things as a kid, and I think I kind of like tapped out. Like I reached my limit. It was too much. So now as an adult, I'm like a little bit of spice, but I'm not a huge fan of, like just like a giant slice of jalapeno in my burger or in a sandwich or yeah, I think I just overdid it as a kid, and so now my love of spiciness is just not non-existent, but it's just definitely not as it was when I was younger. Um, but yeah, next question, another food question. Best pie. First of all pie is good pie. But if I had to pick, I would probably pick pumpkin pie. I I think I just have like a like again, another core memory, Thanksgiving dinners. My dad works for Costco, and so he would bring home, like, I think employees would get like free pies, and so he would bring home pumpkin pies, and that with a glob of Cool Whip, top tier. So love pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie. Sweet potato pie is also really good. Um, Same type of like taste and texture, I think. So yeah, but all pie is good pie. Okay. Next question is, outside of cosplaying and collecting, do you have other hobbies you enjoy? So, yes. My page, honestly, it encapsulates most of my hobbies. Like anything to do with art, designing, drawing, decorating, creating, reading, writing, like all of the artsy stuff. What I enjoy outside, like, even if I wasn't doing it for Star Wars, I've always done this type of stuff on my own. I love drawing as a kid. Decorating is really fun for me, and reading and writing, were really big for me growing up. Like, it's funny. My, my siblings, because 'cause I'm the oldest of, how many? 4? 4? Yes, 4. I'm the oldest of 4. Um, 3 brothers, 1 sister. But anyways, growing up, my brothers would tell me that I spoke weird, um, because I read a lot, and so some of the words that I would use, like, they would just be like, "I don't understand what you're saying, like, please talk in English." It's just like, "Just talk normal, please." But yeah, reading and writing and watching movies, did ton of that with my dad. We would have like movie nights and get takeout, like El Pollo Loco. If you're from California or even in Arizona, they have it. El Pollo Loco was like one of our TV Friday night dinners, or like pizza, getting some Pizza Hut or Domino's. So yeah, anything art related basically is my go-to, and so my page just really allows me to do my hobbies. So my page is my hobby. Um, as well as my shop, and it's just doing it with a fandom, that I love. So outside of that though, I do enjoy cooking. I'll post a couple of photos here of some dishes that I've made. I love trying new recipes. I'm not a fan of baking. I struggle with it. But cooking, I love like cooking dishes. And then I also really love juicing as well. That falls into cooking. Um, I also love hiking, going outdoors. I did a lot of swimming when I was younger, junior high, high school, elementary, did swimming all throughout those years. So I like sports. I don't enjoy running. I'll do a walk, a brisk walk. Don't enjoy jogging, but I like hiking. Just exploring is something that I really enjoy doing, and also just visiting places. I enjoy it all, honestly, and that's not like an exaggeration. I do. I love doing a lot of things, and cooking, juicing, creating things, hiking. So outside of Star Wars and whatnot, if it's not Star Wars related, I'm out exploring, doing things. I have pets. I have some fur babies that I take care of. Um, I have 2 cats now. Just got a kitten recently, and I have a dog. So, yeah. Um, Next question. Do you play Fortnite? I do not. I've never really been interested in getting into Fortnite. I've also heard that it can be a little toxic. So yeah, haven't haven't been interested in playing, but I do play a lot of Battlefront 2. Um, I do play a lot of Minecraft and other Star Wars games like Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. I had the pod racing game on my Switch. Um, like the old pod racing game. um, I played Republic Commando when I was younger, so, like, those games are my jam, and I also really love Mario Kart, like, playing on the Wii growing up, and then now it's on the Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or whatever is what it's called, or Nintendo DS. Man, Nintendo DS was my thing. Like, I remember bringing it to daycares and, like, the after school programs if your parents couldn't pick you up right after school. I would bring my DS to school to play with friends, at camp, and I remember, like, you weren't the best if you didn't hold that button down and have like that like circle on your thumb imprinted on you. So love me some Mario Kart. I play that a lot too, even now. But on the Switch. So yeah, no Fortnite, but I do play video games um when I'm able to. But yeah. And last question is, how expensive is it to make full outfits? It really depends on what you want to do. If you want to do like Star Wars Galaxy Edge bounds or just like a closet cosplay, I mean, you could just get stuff on Amazon or utilize whatever you have in your closet. And if you're on a budget, you can stick to that budget by doing that. If you want a full costume and you have a budget too, that's completely fine. Like you can just like my Trilla outfit, it is not extremely accurate. And it's all pieced together and it's just something that I've built over time. I will say that I believe the original costume that I got off of Cost Guy is about 150. And the material wasn't that great, but the cape was, so I kept the cape and the bracers and the other stuff I just didn't use. Um so you can just piece together things. It can just depend on your budget. But of course, like if you want commissioned stuff to like exact measurements to your body, that's going to be more expensive because you're paying for someone else's work, as we should, their creativity, their hard work and labor. But that can be more expensive than getting something on Cost Guy, but it will probably be better quality, better material. And so it's really about what you want to do, what you're comfortable doing, and like what your budget is, and based off of that, honestly you can really do anything and just base it on whatever budget you have. So buying things from Amazon, using things that you have in your closet for your cosplays, for your bounds, using sites like Cost Guy to buy things that are more in your budget, or you can make things from scratch like I did with my Bix. Not all of it is from scratch, but a lot of it is. And it just depends again on your budget. But like I had those pants and the long sleeve from a while back. So they were already in my closet. And then I bought some material, and depends on what type of material you want to get. And, hot glue gun, having like sewing stuff, um, those are small things. They're not too expensive. If you don't already have a sewing machine, that can be kind of expensive. So you just save up for that. Do things at your own pace. You don't have to go out and buy a $2,000 commissioned Trilla cosplay immediately. But if that's in your budget and that's what you want to do, go for it. If you've been saving up for that, do that. Like just do whatever makes you happy. Honestly, at the end of the day, do whatever makes you happy. Do what is best for you. Um, but it just depends. So I can't give you a specific amount on how expensive it is. Can it get expensive? Absolutely. And like with anything, with collecting anything for hobbies, and it can be expensive. If you're buying things, even creating things from scratch, it can add up. So just do what makes you happy, what's best for you, what works for you. um I will say that my Trilla is probably my most expensive just because it has armor. I've gotten like the shoulder pads, and I just recently got the bracers and then the helmet. Like those things definitely add up. So, and then like the magnetic stuff. But I made my Jedi cosplay, my original character cosplay. That was from scratch, and that was just made from tablecloths and table napkins from Walmart. I think they cost me $20 in total. I think for all of the fabric that I got. And then I went to Goodwill and I got that dress, and I just sewed like the lining to add more of the layering for the tunics. And I hand sewed that. I just had some yarn in my closet somewhere, and I hand sewed that for a week. And so the dress that I got from Goodwill, and that probably cost me, I don't know, $10. So in total $30 for that. And I just grabbed a belt that I had in my closet and put that around until I was able to until I had the finances, until I had the money, it fit in my budget to be able to get an actual Jedi belt. And then getting the cloak from Galaxy's Edge, like it just, again, it depends. on what your budget is, but making something like a Jedi original character from scratch cost me 30 30-ish dollars, 30 plus dollars, and no more than 50. So honestly, it just depends on what you want to do. Yeah. So that is all of the questions that everyone asked and submitted. Thank you again for asking these questions, being a part of my page community. I appreciate all of you and all of your guys' constant support. This was really fun to do. Maybe in the next year or so, I might do another one. But again, I really appreciate everyone being here. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and comment below. What was something new that you learned about me by doing this video? And if you have suggestions for things that you'd like to see from my page, ask away. Definitely open to new ideas. Appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.